Welcome to Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing, utilizing brokerage, insurance, and fee-based planning. We believe wise investing starts with a plan, and your investments may have merit, relevance to a time and place, but this all depends on you, your objectives, and your goals. My name is Seth Cressman, and I'm here with Ben Brayshaw and John Ryder, and we're all planners and partners with Brayshaw Financial Group. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Seth.
Good morning, everybody.
We're glad to have you listening to Money on Tap, and if you're looking to sit down with an advisor and start making some of the right steps towards your financial goals, we welcome the opportunity to do that with you. And you can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. Also, you can find us at Facebook at Money on Tap, 3D Investing. Today, we're going to be taking a closer look at the Trump tax bill that just passed into law this last year. And the name of our show is Trump Tax Bill Filtering Through the Noise. And
There's a lot of noise on that stuff, Seth. There's a lot of noise when it comes to this thing. I hear it's good. I hear it's bad. So we'll talk more about that for sure.
I hope everyone else is paying more in taxes than me. That's all I care about.
Glad you're concerned about others, Ben.
Who's it going to affect?
Love him or hate him, President Trump really was able to get this tax bill through. And in a few minutes, we're going to help you try to filter through some of that noise, whether it be bells and whistles or whether it's just that irritating background distraction. But, we've been hearing a lot when it comes to this bill. But before we do that, it's time for Money in the News.
So, Seth, being from Oregon, I know that you really wanted to introduce our Money in the News article here, but you know what? I thought that it would be more fun if I did. In fact, I thought it would be more fun, Ben and I both thought it would be more fun if we introduced it, because this is just ridiculous, and this is just going to beat up on you for a little while, Seth.
Well, everything is always more fun with Ben and John.
It's a 2-on-1 cage match right now, because this is funny. By now, most everyone in our listening audience has no doubt heard about the new law in Oregon that allows drivers to now pump their own gas. Now, this is interesting. This is our Money in the News topic. It probably has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with the news.
Have you ever pumped your own gas, Seth?
Have you done that before ever?
I have been out of the great state of Oregon. So, yes.
So this is why our taxes are so high.
This is crazy. Okay, so here's the deal. This article is from USA Today, and it was written on January 3rd, 2018. And this is what it says. It was a monumental day in the state of Oregon, not just because it rang in a new year. A brand new state law went into effect that day, and it's a big one. It's a first for the Beaver State. And it's sending shockwaves across all 98,000 plus square miles in all 4 million residents as we speak. For the first time in counties with fewer than 40,000 people, Oregonians are allowed to pump their own gas. We read that last sentence. Let me say it again. For the first time in counties with fewer than 40,000 people, how do you say that? Oregonians are allowed to pump their own gas. Take a minute to process that.
The intro to this is like as if it was going to be monumental. I mean, these words are of significance. I mean, the rest of America is basically pumping their own gas for,
48 other states do. I guess New Jersey doesn't, but 48 other states are doing it.
I just don't even understand how this is monumental.
Seth, you just hold on to your microphone for a minute. You welcome on. You hold on, because here's the deal.
Oh, he's getting red.
Here's the deal. There's a lot of Oregonians that are freaking out about this, Ben. Did you see that? Did you see in the article there?
Yeah, I did. I read this. Okay. This is ridiculous. Oh, my gosh. I don't even know how I'm going to pump gas. I'm 62, native Oregonian. I say, no thanks. I don't want to smell like gasoline.
Someone writes this. They say, here's another Oregonian. Not a good idea. There are lots of reasons to have an attendant helping. One is they need a job, too. Many people are not capable of knowing how to pump gas and the hazards of not doing it correctly. Besides, I don't want to go to work smelling of gas when I get in on my hands or clothing. I agree.
People living in the Twilight Zone?
Very, very bad idea.
The Twilight Zone.
And Seth, let me share this last one. This might have been from Seth. I'm not sure if Seth wrote this or not, but I'm kind of going to attribute this one to Seth. It says, I've lived in this state all my life, and I refuse to pump my own gas. I had to do it once in California while visiting my brother and almost died doing it. This is a service only qualified people should perform. I will literally park at the pump and wait until someone pumps my gas. I can't even think about pumping my own gas. Now, I'm going to let you respond and just respond for the people of Oregon, please.
Well, Oregon is clearly a place of privilege. Like once we let you into the state, it's just one of those, bonuses and benefits that we have here for our residents. If you drive right across the river, which is, 15, 20 minutes, depending on where you live in Portland to Vancouver, Washington, folks, you are really in for a big surprise. I sat at a pump probably no less than 15 minutes waiting for somebody to attend to my needs.
It's hard when you can't do that stuff yourself, Seth. That's hard. It's hard to know what to do.
Do I really
push 87
to figure out
or 89?
They might as well just come out and pump my gas because it took me like another 15 minutes to figure out how to use the stinking pump, and then it was a disaster from there.
Seth, are you guys in Oregon? Are you guys allowed to wash your own car, or if you wanted to change your own oil? What are the specs on that? Is that allowed?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there, because this is the phrasing here is that Oregonians are allowed to pump their own gas, which we have not been.
They did not trust you?
What?
They did not trust you to pump your own gas?
Maybe it's a competency thing.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Maybe it's a competency.
Yes.
Listen to this. Listen to this. The article says, to be fair. Do we have to be? Yeah. To be fair, these Oregonians have a point. Mm-hmm. Pumping gas is pretty difficult.
It is.
It is. Right up there with scraping your windshield.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you've ever looked at a resume,
turning the heat on.
If you've ever looked at a resume of anybody that's been in the position of pumping gas for others, I believe it's engineer. They're considered an engineer or a technician. So it's legitimate, folks. That it does take a significant amount of time to be trained on this, and that the model was correct. And I don't know. I think it's an influx of everybody moving here from California and other parts of the country.
Do they just get the title on their business card, engineer, or does it say something else like gas engineer?
Distribution
engineer. What's the business card say? Because I have to figure if you're pumping gas professionally, you've got to have a business card.
Professionally.
Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. You know what?
Welcome to the real world, Seth. Welcome to the real world.
So, Seth, I want to say you were Seth, you were very mature in the way in which you handled that attack on you in your state. But it is pretty funny. So Ben was kind of saying he thinks it's more of just a bunch of yuppies out there that don't want to do it, and so they have people do it for them. I don't know.
Because the 4 million that live here, that the majority of them, that's what they're doing, right? Is they're just, that's what they.
So I've been to Oregon a bunch of times. I don't think I've ever noticed somebody else pumping gas stopping anywhere. I think I actually, because I've rented cars out there, I guarantee you I've gotten out of the car and pumped my own gas, and they were like, that guy's not from here.
Yeah.
Ben might be a convicted convict out there. He's not convicted yet, but he was breaking rules out there in Oregon when he was out there, huh?
You guys
people out here are so polite. You probably didn't notice that they just kind of like opened your door for you and then just said, hey, sir, we've got this handled for you. And you just probably thought, oh, my gosh, everybody in Oregon's so nice. Some stranger walked up and just pumped my gas for me today.
Do they want to tip, Seth, out there when they're pumping gas? Do they want to tip?
I don't remember. I know I knew New Jersey.
Oh yeah, they're that way.
Does not, they pump your gas. But I've seen it happen because you stop at a rest area or driving through on 95. But in Oregon, I've rented a car a bunch of times there. Well, I don't think I've ever knew this until
Ben might be arrested when he goes back in there.
Seriously, here's how up to date I was on this. I didn't even realize this until John, you brought this article to my attention.
Very naive.
Until he sat outside the gas station for 3 hours.
So is that? Do you guys have anything else?
I think we can move on. Article number 2 is interesting.
I don't know. I need some gas. I don't know if my car is going to go anywhere.
You just stay in there and you wait, Ben. You wait until they come and pump it for you. You wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so article number 2 actually has a little bit to do with New Hampshire. Do you guys realize that there is some? And I am not a Powerball player or a lottery player by any means. I don't think you guys are either. But it says that the largest, a very large Powerball ticket was sold in New Hampshire. Actually, sold in the town next door to me in Merrimack. $570 million was the single ticket award for New Hampshire. Then there's another one that was sold in Florida. And, the winners have not come forward on these yet. But it's kind of interesting. And this is kind of maybe a little bit more relevant to our show. And the fact that it does have to do with money and taxes. The $570 million Powerball ranks as the 5th largest in the game's history and the 3rd largest award to a single ticket. It's also the 7th largest jackpot in U.S. history. So, interestingly enough, think about what that would do to your tax situation if you won the Powerball.
I'm just noticing that these are my numbers.
They are your numbers. Oh,
just kidding.
Close the show up. Time for Ben to go cash in.
Numbers for Saturday's drawing. No, should have played them.
Well, they're kind of fortunate. The people that won the lottery, they're very blessed that they won the lottery there. But the thing is, there's no state income tax in New Hampshire, and there's no state income tax in Florida. So the 2 winners there kind of, I guess, would say, lucked out. But the thing is, lottery winners face some major taxes when they win. And in fact, it says this in the article, lottery winners in 2018 also face a different set of tax circumstances that may affect their final tax bill, including a slightly reduced top tax rate of 37% versus 39% in 2017, and a capping of paid state and local income tax, sales, and property taxes at $10,000 as an itemized deduction. We're going to get more into this in the show later on. But the fact is, these folks are going to be paying a lot when it comes to their taxes.
There's a statistic out there that, and I don't know how true it is, but there's a statistic out there that says over 70% of lottery winners go broke.
We could do a show on that. Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. And it's not just because of the taxes. Obviously, it would be a lot. It says here in the article that if the Powerball winner opts to take a $358 million lump sum, the tax withholding would need to be $89.6 million. On the Mega Millions, the $281 million lump sum has an estimated federal tax withholding of 70.3. You want to make sure you're doing your withholding if you're listening to the show today.
Yeah, and I don't know what you plan on doing with that $269 million that you have left over. Right. But if you're gonna go broke, I don't
in style.
I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you there. What kind of stuff are you buying when you're going broke with $296
There's probably
million?
Somebody out there's got to be somebody who won the lottery and just went down to Vegas and said, all right, put it on black.
Yeah. Well, we have talked about this in the past as far as lottery winnings, and whenever people get something without taking the time to earn it or the effort to earn it, many times it goes out the window. Or sometimes even people that maybe we're talking about professional athletes that make a lot of money. Of course, they work hard and earn what they get. But the fact is they many times don't realize the importance of it and the fact that they may have a very short career when it comes to this money, and they don't really put the money away. I mean, time and again, we hear about athletes who have made a ton of money, and then maybe after they've retired 5-10 years later, the money's all gone because they spent it on cars and vacations and all this kind of stuff and didn't really have a clue of what they should be doing with it. So, and of course, taxes take a major bite out of that as well. So
yeah, one of the things I also this actually could be like one of those service announcements since the tickets haven't been claimed. The people that won with the numbers still have yet to come forward. So if you did play that lottery and you're listening today, go get your money because nobody's claimed it yet, and it's just sitting there waiting, folks. So hopefully that's you, and you can go grab your winnings and give Ben and John a call.
I had the winning numbers in my pocket, in my jean pocket, but I think my wife put it in the wash. That's the worst. Can you imagine that if you had something like that happen?
I can't. I mean, I've actually stopped by a convenience store, and And I'm like, oh, hey, how much is the lottery? And I don't know, it's in the millions of whatevers. And buy a ticket, and I can't tell you how many times I've actually gone and checked on the numbers, maybe once or twice. And that's really bad management, isn't it? Or you paid a buck.
Yes, Seth, it is. I expect you to be a better steward of that.
I've probably won 10 times over now.
I remember in college there was a huge Powerball or something like that, and one of my brothers was like, "Well, we got to buy a Powerball ticket," and so we split it. I think it was like $1 or whatever it was, and it was like probably like 100 million back then or something, and it was like
not a whole lot back then, yeah,
or maybe it was 70 million. It was a big, huge number, and it was the largest at that time or whatever. So everyone was just buying one just to.
So you're walking.
We spent like an hour and a half talking about all the things we would do with it. And it was I just remember that. It was fun. We had a good time chatting about it.
Yeah.
We're like, I don't think.
Worth the 50 cents you paid.
He may have won it all.
I haven't seen him for a long time. Where is that guy?
Exactly.
Most of the time when I'm walking up to the counter, I've got a pack of gum in my hand, and I'm looking at the ticket, and I'm looking at the cashier, and I'm thinking a pack of gum in the hand or a lottery ticket in the bush, and I just go with the gum in hand.
Yeah.
We got to take a quick break here at Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551. We'll be right back.
When we invest, we do so with a certain degree of risk, knowing the volatility of the market. On today's Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, John Ryder encourages us to have a game plan, and that doesn't necessarily mean we panic when the market is down.
Issues that worry investors today, they're not necessarily new worries. We find that it's really important for people to stay focused despite all the day-to-day distractions that we face, especially during periods of economic uncertainty. When the going gets tough, a lot of people head for the sidelines. They're kind of scared. That's not always a good thing. And so what we encourage people to do is to stay steady with what they're doing, not necessarily to be reactive to what's going on in the market and to be moving in and out, but to really have a game plan when it comes to that volatility. The game plan may be very simple right now as you're seeing the markets go up and you see that. And you might like that. And we all do as we look at our statements as they come in on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis, what have you. But the fact is we are destined to see more volatility coming in the future.
Thanks for joining us for this Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, with great tips from the pros in three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. Now here's more Money on Tap with Seth, Ben, and John.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals experiencing some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. And if you're listening today, one of the things that we roll out there every once in a while is just an appreciation for you, our listener. If you have an idea or if you have something that you're kind of working through in financial planning or finance and you'd like us to cover it on air, we'd be glad to work with you on that. Just email us your idea or call us at info at Your Money on Tap or 855-226-8551. And if we wind up using your concept or your idea, we'll go ahead and send you a hat or a T-shirt, whichever of those you'd like. And just, one of the ways that we like to appreciate you, our listener out there. John, take it away.
Yeah, so our show today is entitled 9 Things You Need to Know About the Big Republican Tax Reform. And this episode is titled from an article of the same name written by Ben Shapiro. Ben's an American conservative political commentator, columnist, author, radio talk show host, lawyer. He kind of does it all. But, when it comes to this tax reform bill, there's a lot of noise going on. There's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of Democrats saying that this is just a big tax cut for the wealthy. There's the Republicans out there that are saying, oh, no, it's going to benefit the middle class across the board. But love him or hate him, Trump did get this bill through. And on Wednesday, December 21st, which was towards the end of last year, in the early morning hours, the Republican Senate passed historic tax reform. It is a massive package of corporate tax cuts and well-sized individual tax cuts. It also combined with a repeal of individual mandate for health insurance, and it also allowed more exploration when it came to oil exploration. It represents the only significant win that President Trump had last year with the Republicans in Congress, but it was a major win. So we're going to go through and we're going to talk about 9 things that you need to know when it comes to Republican tax reform.
So you're telling me that Congress got through 9 things they agreed on?
It's hard to believe, isn't it? It is hard to believe.
No, I'm just kidding. There's a lot more than that. I think, John, this tax reform is huge, all right? There's a lot of debate. There's a ton of moving parts, and everyone's going to get affected a little differently. And I think, when we talk about number 1, the concept that, was here is that pretty much everyone's going to get a tax cut.
Okay.
That's on the rate levels, on all the different rates are all kind of coming down a little bit. I think where the debate comes in with this whole tax reform is that there's so many moving pieces, depending on your specific circumstances, whether you're running your own business, small business America, whether your spouse has a business, you're working in a W-2 regular salaried job, all the different pieces, do you own a duplex, all the different moving parts that everyone is so specifically different that not everyone's going to get a tax cut. Not everyone is going to experience a tax savings. That's just the fact that when you make a change to the masses, not everyone's going to truly save money in taxes. So there are some people that are going to be affected differently, that people maybe just the way their money flows or how they're structured. And that's why there's such a big push for evaluating the structures that are available to you and how to do it. But, for instance, right? Everyone was trying to race out and prepay their
property taxes,
so that they could get the deduction for this previous year, for next year, because there's going to be limitations to things.
Yeah, only $10,000 that can be deducted.
Right. So those types of things. And so I can appreciate all the different, skepticism about this or that. I think overall, the expectation of reducing taxes and trying to get, growth in America moving forward at a more exponential pace is definitely the better direction. But I think, again, this is going to come down to what we say regularly is it takes planning to do any of this well. So when we have change in our tax law or change in how your life is running, or whether you go from being employed by somebody to owning your own business or back and forth, how you structure, how you plan ahead is really going to be relevant here. And especially for everybody who's looking at this now, what you do moving forward in this tax code is what's going to matter, not the previous tax code. Because everyone's structured, everyone's doing everything that works in the historical side of things. And now we've got this change. This should be a big red flag, a big poster, a sign that says, hey, I need to talk to somebody about this. And we're going to go through some of these things. So I didn't mean to take some of your thunder, John, but I think that point is missed by a lot of people.
Well, I think, Seth, the noise that I hear out there is that this tax cut is really just for the rich. And I believe in actuality that everyone, just about everyone out there who does pay taxes will get a tax cut. Now, for people that are not paying taxes, and there are many people in our country that are not paying taxes as a result of their earnings are not to a level where they're actually paying in taxes. So are they going to get a cut on their taxes? Well, no, they're not, because they're not paying those taxes. But if you take a look, according to the Tax Policy Center, this isn't the biggest tax cut in history, but it's not insignificant either. The Tax Policy Center says that the average household will receive a tax cut of $1,610 in 2018. An average household earning $1 million or more would see a tax decrease of approximately $69,000, as compared with $870 for households making $50,000 to $75,000. So the reason for this is this: high-income earners pay the vast bulk of the taxes in the country. So it's kind of an idiotic idea that Americans will pay more taxes after the bill, an idea believed by 50% of the population. It's simply wrong. And that's really what I think it boils down to. Across the board, we're going to see cuts made.
Yeah, the majority of people will see a significant cut. It's just not going to hit, what we're hearing in the news is probably the breakout of some select certain circumstances that if you don't make changes, you are going to pay more taxes and you need to make some adjustments. And that's one of the things I think is being missed.
So I think overall, that we should all, I think it's a good thing for all of us, no matter what income tax bracket we're in. The fact that we're paying less taxes. You know, there's a lot been said about, okay, so if just the rich get the tax cut, well, it will trickle down and this and that. Well, I think it's more than just the rich getting the tax cut here. I think across the board we're seeing some tax cuts. The average household getting $1,610, that's not a bad thing.
That's a big deal. I mean, that's a lot of money for a household, for a family that needs a new car. I mean, or, you know, they're trying to pay a dentist bill or whatever the scenario is. $1,600 goes a long way.
I'm paying one of those right now. We have my daughter is in braces right now, and you have a son that was in braces. I don't know if he still is or not, but yeah, that's
you
expensive.
And me both. Spencer just went and got the bands yesterday, which was the bulk of that payment right up front.
Yeah.
You guys are definitely hitting the nail on the head here. I think some of the things that are the levers that are going to be critical for people just to understand immediately what this is going to start to look like. For instance, you know, if you're expecting there to be a change, you know, now in your paycheck, you're not going to see anything until February, basically, because the IRS hasn't even released withholding tables. Basically, they're slated to appear now, but you know, it can take a little bit for some of these changes to start to filter back through. A couple of other things is like the provisions of the TCJA may also apply retroactively for some taxpayers. What is that? Basically, the large federal tax deduction for the out-of-pocket medical expenses is allowed not only for 2018 but for 2017. So taxpayers that itemize and may write off qualifying medical expenses exceeding 7.5% of income in 2017 instead of the 10% of income. Businesses that, you know, bought new capital equipment, for instance, you know, after September 27th, 2017, will be permitted to fully and immediately expense those purchases for the 2017 tax year. So those are, you know, a couple of those concerns that people immediately think of when they're, you know, trying to work through a tax scenario of personal tax scenario, business tax scenario of you know, what some of these changes might, I mean, how they might immediately affect.
Okay, so we know this. We know that virtually everyone out there will get a tax cut. But number two, well, I'm also hearing a lot about the media talking about how that these tax rates are going to expire in 2025. So that is true.
You know, this is something I think is really actually kind of humorous about this is why is it such a big deal for tax code to get changed? Well, the two sides, right? One, I mean, if this is a benefit, if this is a boon for the economy, if this is a benefit for all of us, right now, you know, pundits on both sides are arguing for and against, and basically it's, you know, kind of supporting their colleagues and their constituents to, you know, be opposed to anything that the Republicans do, or vice versa, Republicans opposed to anything that the Democrats do. And that's kind of the noise, I feel like, that's what we're really trying to filter out and understand. Okay, is there anything that's really going to be beneficial in the long run? So far, we've been discussing these things, and there has been. But in that tax code 2025, the sunset, which would be, you know, the cutoff for these changes to happen, do you feel like there's going to be one side or the other that's going to be like, we really need to roll back that situation that's been so great for the economy, it's been so great for everybody personally, if that's what it in fact looks like down the road? I can't imagine either side wanting to do that. Okay,
so we've looked at how everyone will get a tax break, a tax cut. We're looking at having those individual tax case number two expiring in 2025. But Ben, there's also something too about the corporate tax rates dropping dramatically, and that was something I thought maybe I'd have you highlight there. It's kind of a big deal for corporations out there.
Yeah, I think you know, the corporate tax rate was cut down from 35 to 21%.
That's a big cut. That's a big cut.
That's enormous.
11%. Oh my gosh.
No, 14%. It went down 14%. 35 to 21%. And I think,
oh my gosh,
I think, you know, the entire plan around everything being done, including the repatriation, you know, of funds brought back home to the U.S. too. I mean, everything being talked about in this world is all about getting GDP up, and the belief that, you know, reducing expenses for businesses will allow them to expand, allow them to grow, allow them to produce, and moving that GDP forward. And I, you know, honestly, it has worked, and it has worked not just in the U.S., but it's worked in other countries, and that's a big deal.
Well, the United States has the highest corporate tax rate, or had the highest corporate tax rate in the industrialized world at 35%. So that being cut down was pretty interesting. And Seth, you were mentioning something earlier about Europe. in how this is kind of bringing the United States into competition with Europe when it comes to far lower tax rates?
Well, here's the levers that are in play, right? Is that this is what they're looking at and banking on when they take a look at increase in GDP. For instance, the Ireland is what they're taking a look at. Right. There was a 40% tax rate in Ireland prior to 1995. They drop it down to 12.5%. I mean, that's Ben, you were right. It's 14%. That's more significant. But what they saw was a 23% GDP growth domestic product. Basically, but what is being produced and sold compared with a 7.2 GDP, which was still great, right? Because we're not anywhere close to that right now. I mean, 7.2, we'd be as a country, we'd be like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. We're just creating so much growth at that point compared to what we've been tracking at. But that's what they're looking at is this lever to really start to produce more income here in the U.S. And that's the growth model that they're trying to pour this tax cut into, hoping that we're going to see as a country more significant growth in our domestic product.
Absolutely. In fact, right after the corporate tax rate was brought up, you had companies that were starting to give money away, started giving bonuses away, and companies that were starting to expand and saying, okay, well, I think we can afford to build a plant over here now. And that really gave some motivation to business owners to start thinking about what they would do with that.
Is that why you sent me that check in the mail, John?
That's exactly why.
Is that what that was about?
Exactly.
You're just like, hey, I feel like I need to just write Seth a check today.
I didn't get one. I didn't get one. What's going on here?
It's in the mail, Ben. It's in the mail. Yeah.
It's in the mail.
Heard that before.
No kidding, huh? Okay, so another big benefit is the child tax credit. And I think it was Marco Rubio who really pushed for this. The child tax credit, which is truly a redistribution scheme, when you think about it, it's backed by some conservatives, will be boosted to $2,000 per child and will be refundable up to $1,400. That's exactly what Rubio was looking to do. And it's one he really pushed on. In fact, in the very end, I remember him saying, hey, I'm not voting for it unless I get what I want. And it actually was something he held out on, and it actually worked out well for him.
You know, I think that's important because I got 4 kids.
It's 4 times as more important for you as someone that only has 1. That's for sure.
No, I actually think that, it's something in the back of my mind that I've always thought that had to be adjusted because it hasn't been addressed. I think I think at the same time we need to continue growing as a country. We need to encourage growth as a country. We got 320 million-ish Americans, and with a baby boomer population being the overwhelming swinging arm,
it is.
We need a younger group of people to continue to support our economy. We're missing people to actually, well, I think it's good that you guys have to pump your own gas in Oregon because honestly, we need more workers. We have unemployment is really, really low. And we need more people to do work, and those people will need work done and so forth. So I think there should be some addressing to that.
So are you saying that kicking people out of of being a petroleum engineer?
A petroleum
technician?
Oh, my word.
Are you saying that that's going to push people into the much more needed workforce there, Ben? Is that what that was?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So, but I really do think that there is some real value to addressing this, and I think they not only addressed it. I mean, they really addressed it. They not only increased the deduction, but they increased when the phase out happens on that. So it used to phase out at $110,000. So to have 4 kids or have 3 kids or have 2 kids, it's expensive. I mean, you make real sacrifices and decisions to have a large family in today's world. And I think that's something that we should encourage across the board for most people. And
present company included, yes.
All right. So with that said, the phase out's now $400,000. Now, a husband and wife both working, having 4 kids, making $110,000. I mean, it's a lot of money, but at the same time,
it's a lot of kids.
It's a lot of kids, and you have to make a decent living to actually try to get through that. So that's something that I think is good that they raise the amount of time, which it will help impact families financially in a healthy way. Because before, majority of people who had a lot of kids who made a decent living, they just got phased out.
Great point. We're going to take a quick break at Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com.
Hi, my name is Ben Brayshaw, one of the co-hosts of Money on Tap. If you have questions when it comes to your retirement and are looking for a personalized solution, contact us at Brayshaw Financial Group. In today's volatile stock market, we can help you plan to find your successful retirement solution. Am I saving enough? Am I saving into the right places? Do my investments match my appetite for risk? Do I have a tax strategy that is going to help me keep more of what I earn? How can I maximize my Social Security income? If you are like most people, you are getting closer and closer to your retirement and may be wondering if you're taking the right steps. If you're in retirement, you may be wondering, am I maximizing my income while preserving my estate and caring for my family? We talk about all things financial in what we call three-dimensional investing, putting a plan around your financial future. If you feel that now is the time to start getting the answers to some of these questions for your own situation, give us a call at Brayshaw Financial Group at 855-226-8551. Headquartered in Bedford, New Hampshire, we have offices throughout New England and across the country. We would love the opportunity to show you how we can help. There's absolutely no cost or obligation just to meet with us, and we welcome you to our office. Call us at 855-226-8551.
Now back to Money on Tap with Ben Brayshaw, John Ryder, and Seth Grossman.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, bringing out professionals, experience, and some fun in three-dimensional investing. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. Now, today we are filtering out the noise in all of these tax changes to the Trump tax code that got put into action just this last year. And, we've been kind of going through 9 points here that are significant points in what is this tax code, how does it translate to us. But the child tax credit was the last piece that we were talking about. But next piece we were going to bring on board was the high income earners in tax states potentially might pay more. And that's not what people want to hear, right? But that's what a big part of this conversation is about, has been about people paying more, not necessarily high income earners, but the majority of people paying more. And so far that in our discussion, that doesn't seem to be the case. But John, did you want to grab that?
Well, just on top of that too. So certainly high income earners will pay more in high tax states, especially. So people that have a hard, like for instance, I think of New Jersey, New York, that have large high state income taxes will certainly pay more. But also something interestingly enough is the fact that the mortgage interest deduction has been decreased a lot as well too, which helps, which hits high real estate value blue states really pretty hard. So if you have real estate and you're in a blue state and you're paying a lot in property taxes, you're not really going to get much of a break. It's not going to help you out much because you're only limited to $10,000 in interest deduction. Whereas before, maybe you could have done 20 or 25 if you have large properties and all that, or high value properties. So now you're not able to do that anymore. And
this is an effect on the wealthy.
Yeah, and that could really.
Well, this is an effect in New Hampshire, I would think too. I mean, specifically when I was taking a look at property and taxes in comparison to like Oregon and New Hampshire, because we have income tax here, we don't have the property tax that you guys have there. I couldn't believe like how much the property tax was on some of the places that we were driving by, Ben.
Feel free to contribute. Feel free to contribute over here anytime you want to send a donation check. John and I will accept.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay,
yes.
Well, I think
bank is always open here, Seth.
I think I just got that check from John. Maybe that's where I should distribute that to.
Yeah. That might bounce, though. I think it's going to bounce for you.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, you think about California. They talked about a number of states. New Hampshire is definitely one that's going to get hit because our, pretty much majority of our taxes are collected through property. But California, it was like 3 states I think that were really hit. I think New York's going to be hit pretty hard. Connecticut. Where property taxes are significantly higher, and you just can't control how different states handle things.
And what some folks are saying is that people are saying because of this new regulation or this limitation of how much you can deduct, that really could lead to a downturn as far as the real estate market is concerned. Hey, maybe I'm not interested in buying property if I can't get a break on it. In the past, I've always bought and I got a nice break on my taxes for the interest I'm paying on my loans. But maybe I'm not going to be motivated to do that anymore, and I'll figure some other place to put my money.
Well, the itemized deduction increase is significant.
That's number 6. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's the thing where people are going to try to recoup some of this is your standard deductions where maybe you didn't get a lot of standard deductions. This is going to help those people. So, matter of fact, if you rent, like I have friends that they don't want to own a house. They just want to rent. They don't even want to own a condo. They're happy with what they're doing. This is going to help them significantly because they're going to have an automatic set of standard deductions. Done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's funny? I know that the Republicans were all talking about how you could do your taxes, how you would be able to do your taxes on a postcard. We're not there yet, but I think we do.
You don't do them on a postcard, John?
I usually use 2 or 3 postcards, 2 or 3.
You didn't know that I teach a class, your taxes on a napkin.
I did not.
Yeah. Hasn't gone over as well as I had hoped yet, but we're working on it.
Not a big seller.
All right.
So
go ahead.
The individual mandate is gone, number 7. So the tax bill, right, uses the death of the individual mandate to reduce deficits, and that's basically because those were encouraged to seek health insurance by individual mandate were on Medicaid. Now, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that there was a correlation there between the mandate on health insurance. Basically, you got to have it, right, or you pay the penalty. But there was a correlation to that to the majority of those people being in Medicaid, and so what this is basically saying is that repealing that is going to have less people involved or on Medicaid, meaning saving basically the government billions. That sounds great. That's one of those things that I was like, really? I don't know. Does that make sense to you? Because aren't you on Medicaid if you can't afford insurance? Like, isn't that the program that you can't afford insurance, so you're on Medicaid? So why would those people no longer get insurance? That was the head scratcher for me.
Yeah.
No?
That's weird.
What's helpful is the fact that we're not going to be forced to buy insurance that you don't necessarily want to buy. For years I've been part of a group called Samaritan's Ministries, which is really a health sharing type of arrangement, and we have been excluded so far. We haven't had to pay the tax because of different provisions that were allowed by Obama in the past. But I love the fact that if I don't want to buy health insurance, I don't have to buy it, and I can look at other ways in which to take care of my family.
The next one's interesting.
Number 8.
Oil exploration is now possible in Alaska in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a huge.
The Democrats have been fighting that for years and years and years. And there's some people out there that say this is a very foolish policy that we haven't been able to explore in our own country because of not wanting to wreck the environment, that type of thing. But I can tell you that there's some huge potential to explore oil. And Ben, we do a decent amount of oil and gas work in our business here. But the fact is, it's really changed a lot as well as far as how oil exploration is done now, without as much damage to the environment.
Well, I think it's funny. This is one of those things. It's for me, it's a necessary evil, right? We all use gas, and every year, even with all the natural resources that we try to, between wind and solar and so forth, oil usage continues to climb year after year after year. So we're creating. I mean, hey, every 5 years, we're all putting in different light bulbs because they use less energy and so forth. But even then, as we reduce the ways we consume energy, that are standard, we still continue to use more energy on a daily basis. So it's a necessary evil. I think what's interesting about it is statistics say that, there's all concerns about wildlife. So some of the statistics have shown that wildlife has actually it has grown in population around some of these oil.
That's exactly right. I was just reading about concerns about the impact on wildlife have been kind of overstated. Caribou populations have increased in areas around existing pipelines. And so I think it depends upon which side of the political side you're on when it comes to this.
There's a concern. Obviously, I believe that this earth, is just gorgeous. It's God's creation, and it's looking at certain things. I mean, having a pipeline outside my house, probably not exactly what I want to do if I live in Alaska. Right. But these people are going to get very wealthy off of this, very, very wealthy.
Right. Well, I think you've got a bigger problem if you're living in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, Ben.
Well, I'm talking about the pipelines that go through. Yeah, no, not right there. Agreed. Yeah.
They might haul you off pretty quickly there. So number 9, deficits will increase. And this is just a fact of it. This is one of the things that we look at is the bill was slated to create a 1.5 trillion in new deficits, basically because we're cutting taxes, we're cutting revenue to support that ongoing deficit that we love so much. So, and that likely is an understatement that, we talked about the tax rates probably won't be allowed to sunset. And that means that, we're going to have to figure out a way to either cut or, they're going to tax another way. And Ben, I think that is definitely more support for the argument that there's probably going to be a national sales tax, because that's a flat tax. Everybody pays it. And that's one way to definitely subsidize what's going on, because unfortunately, we don't seem to want to be able to or look at ways to cut our budget as a nation, or at least that's not what Congress is looking to do.
Yeah, I mean they seem to cut in ways that get them reelected, but not cut. I'm reminded of what $1 trillion is. We have a $20 trillion national debt. That's not the real debt.
That just got increased by 1.5 trillion.
Right. And that story about what a trillion is something to really comprehend. I think when we break it down, and we do this in our office all the time, we talk to people, what is our national debt, And when you break it down into time, what is 1 trillion seconds? And people are like, well, I have no idea. And just telling them what 1 trillion seconds is not good enough. So you have to go through and you say, what's 1 million seconds? And 1 million seconds is 11 and some odd day, 11 days and some odd hours. And you go, all right, okay, well, what's 1 billion seconds? And 1 billion seconds is 31 years.
That's a huge difference.
1 billion.
I know. Million to 1 billion. Wow.
And then you go and you seconds.
Say, yeah, seconds. And then what about 1 trillion seconds? And that's 31,000 years. 31,000 years, that's 1 trillion. Now we have a $20 trillion debt, and we have another new deficit coming up of 1.5 trillion. It's just astronomical to even fathom this. Sitting in front of him and be like, oops, well, we're 1.5 trillion off. It's just I can't even imagine sitting there and be like, yeah, no, we got it down from 1.7 trillion. We're doing good. We're going in the right direction. So it's a little overwhelming to realize how we're doing this, and hopeful that GDP really will grow and that this will happen.
All in all, and this is how Ben Shapiro really summarizes his article here, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But he says this: all in all, the Republican tax bill is a strong policy. An insertion of the end of the individual mandate could turn out to be a feat of political genius by the Senator Tom Cotton. The bill is unpopular right now, but that's because most Americans believe the media. When they see that their taxes are lower, that effect will dissipate somewhat. With that said, Republicans had better see continued strong economic growth, or voters will mistake correlation for causation and attribute any weakening in the economy to the tax reform bill, buying into the Democratic narrative that Republicans were out to help fat cats rather than middle-class Americans. And he sums it up by saying this: this is President Trump's first big legislative win. It deserves to be cheered by conservatives. And I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, there is. Seth, you had mentioned something about, the sales tax and just kind of a general flat tax concept. And, I look at the limitation on property tax deductions, the state and local tax deduction at $10,000. I look at that as like a flat tax. Like everyone gets hit with that same number. There's no adjustment for location or how your taxes are handled or any of that stuff. I think that's really interesting. Yeah. It's a very flat tax mentality. It's just, hey, everyone's going to get it. This is what it's going to be.
One of the things we're going to need to wrap things up here pretty soon, but one of the things that I know we wanted to talk about, which this is always an exciting piece for us, is how can this potentially fuel our economy and even support more of a rally in our market. I know that's what a lot of people are talking to me about lately is, what do you see coming this next year? I mean, gosh, look at this last year, and it's phenomenal. I mean, the market has just been unbelievable if you're involved in that in most places. And so, what would this potentially look like? for more gains in the market? I mean, what are we talking about? The Dow over 40?
Well, that's what analysts are saying. Analysts are saying that there's certainly the potential to have 2018 be very, very strong. That's what we're all hoping.
Right.
And it's really, if you think about it, the newly approved tax legislation is really aiming to create a more attractive environment for business investment, and that's really what we can hope going forward, that we'll be able to see those.
This should give all the right energy and fuel. It's kind of like us pumping our own gas, Seth. That's all I can say. Pumping our own gas.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you know what? And just very quickly to say, Caterpillar shares, they're popped up after J.P. Morgan upgraded the stock because of the tax bill boost, and so Caterpillar's going like crazy. And when you see a company like Caterpillar, which is really a primary, a key component to the market, to the industrial building, a good indicator of what's going on. That's a very good positive thing to see. And that's what we're saying.
Yeah, no, I think they had somewhere around, what was it, 74% climb over the last 12 months. And to see another, like when you talk about a pop, it's like, oh my gosh, that's incredible to see those types of gains. And they actually are just building a huge outlet right down the street from us here, where they've got a brand new market center that's, acres of Caterpillars that they're moving into that. So there's lots of growth. I think there's lots of opportunity. It'll be really interesting to see. You guys, this has been fun. Believe it or not, talking about taxes and tax reform is
true.
Fun. At least with you guys, it's fun. I can't say that I have any.
I like doing it with you, Seth. It's great. It's really great.
Hey, thanks, Ben. I'll take that as my compliment for 2018.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Yes,
that's going to do it for us at Money on Tap. We'll be looking forward to sitting down with you as this 2018 unfolds. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com.
Thanks, guys.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of this radio station and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. No strategy, product, material, or tool mentioned can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information, products, materials, or tools mentioned should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. This show may be subsidized in whole or in part by a product sponsor or issuer. Securities and advisory services offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, and a registered investment advisor. All other services offered through Brayshaw Financial Group LLC are independent of SagePoint Financial. SagePoint Financial and Brayshaw Financial Group do not provide tax or legal advice. Main office is located at 116 South River Road, Bedford, New Hampshire, 03110, and can be reached at toll-free 855-226-8551.